feel the need to whisper this. No one tell Donald Trump about the renewed energy on the left, especially as Bernie Sanders and AOC's Fighting Oligarchy tour continues to see record crowds. These are in some very deep red districts, y'all. Their tour across America follows Democrats attempting to hold Republicans to account by organizing over 70 town halls in 35 states over the past 3 weeks. This is a push that they are going to double down on by focusing on vulnerable Republican districts over this 2-week recess. And it follows the outpouring of protests across America, more than 1,400 in recent weeks. The energy is there. So it's very clear to me that there's an energetic and there is a vocal opposition to Donald Trump. And DNC Vice Chairman David Hogg has an idea of how to channel it. In an unprecedented move, as the DNC does not typically get involved in primaries, Hogg announced that a separate organization where he serves as president, called Leaders We Serve, is going to intervene in solidly Democratic districts as part of a $20 million effort to elect younger leaders and unseat their party's older lawmakers. Hogg telling The Times, people say they want change in the Democratic Party, but really they want change so long as it doesn't potentially endanger their position of power. The man in question joins me now. Okay. You made a lot of people mad today.
A few.
I've heard from a few people. As the former Senator Sanders campaign staffer in me says, yes, fight the power.
Right.
The former DNC member in me
Right.
says, I don't know if this is what the DNC vice chair should be doing. What do you say to the people who are very critical of this because you are an elected vice chair of the Democratic National Committee?
I mean, look at former vice chairs that have been involved in primaries previously as well. I'd also say when I was running for this role, I was running as I was president of Leaders We Deserve in the years prior to this, where we worked in primaries to help elect young Democrats to state legislatures and Congress. And I want to clear one thing up. This is not an issue that we're taking with age in particular. Look, there are ineffective older people and ineffective younger people across our party.
So you're not just targeting old people?
No,
because the Washington Post story said y'all are going to primary Democrats in safe blue districts and the age, but they did say the age of members has nothing to do with their calculus, but the other stories played up the age.
Exactly, because that's the more controversial story here. We are not here. There are great older people in our party that are leading the fight against Donald Trump and have been doing so for nearly a decade at this point, like Congresswoman Pelosi. We also have people, obviously, like Jan Schakowsky and so many others that are meeting this moment. But the reality is, we know that only 27% of our base is approving of where we are right now as a party. And we lost voting shares with every single demographic except predominantly older voters and highly educated voters. That is a huge problem, and what we're trying to do here is not just focus on primaries where there's potentially an older incumbent, but more than anything, an ineffective person in that position, and replace them with a generational leader to build the future of our party. We're also focusing on competitive races to support the Democrat in those races.
Competitive general election races.
Yes, but we're not going to challenge the Democratic incumbent in those races. We do not want to lose the House here, but we want to help make sure that we win back the House. I even had a friend, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this, who called me from college a few weeks ago that said, David, I am so mad that my member voted a certain way and they're a Democrat. I want to primary them. And I said, whoa, who is your member? And I looked it up, and it was a Democrat in a D+3 seat. And I said, I understand your frustration here, but what you need to understand as well is we may lose the House if you run here. So let me help figure out what you can run for, because there is a growing movement of that happening across our party, and I do not want that to happen. But we have to show our base how we are changing and how we are meeting in this moment to fight back, because we're losing our young people too. They're losing faith in democracy.
They are definitely losing faith in democracy.
Is showing them how we are using democracy to rebuild and revive the American dream that they feel like is a farce to them.
So, one, I think your friend should call up, run for something, and they can help him run for something. Absolutely. Her. Okay. Paging Amanda Littman.
Yes.
We did some research about just what does Congress look like right now. And Pew has a good graphic we'll put up about younger generations make up a growing share of Congress, especially in the House. If you look at these numbers in the House, I'm a millennial, okay? This is interesting because just 2 Congresses ago, it was the baby boomers who were a majority in each chamber. Now they're not even the largest generation in the House of Representatives. But if you look at the Senate, baby boomers still have a majority at 61%. Then we look at I think the racial and ethnic diversity also matters here. And the 119th Congress has the most racial and ethnic diversity in history. I mean, look at these numbers. If you add it all together, non-white members represent 26% of the 119th Congress. This might not seem like a lot, but it's up 15% from the 109th Congress.
It's a lot better.
It's a lot better, but still a long way to go. I guess my question is, one, did you give the chairman of the DNC a heads up about this?
Yes.
And if you did, I want to know what he said. And then two, well, first tell me, you gave him a heads up?
Yes, I did.
What did he say?
Well, look, I can't speak for the chair
Of course not.
specifically.
Of course
I can't
not.
speak for him. And what I will say is, but I have an enormous amount of respect for him, and I think he's doing a great job to help reform our party.
Did he support it?
No.
Okay.
And there are differences of opinion, obviously, but ultimately here, we want the same thing. We want to get back to winning, and we are a big tent in our party, and that includes in our strategy sometimes. And I think that's one of the things that makes our party great. There's a lot of people who say we need to have the same message constantly, but the reality is we're never going to have a message that is nearly as united as Donald Trump. And you know why? Because we're not a cult. We don't have a strongman that says you are excommunicated from the party because you don't agree with X, Y, and Z things. And on that statistic, I want to point to one other thing. You'll see on that chart, if you pull it up again, there's one member of Gen Z in Congress.
Oh, yes.
There's one.
Maxwell
Frost, former March for Our Lives organizing director. If we had a proportional number of 25 to 30-year-old people in Congress, as we do in the general population, we would have over 40 members under 30. But currently, there's only one. That is part of the reason why we're losing our young voters. And what we have to do to protect our democracy is show our young voters that we are here to use democracy to fight back against the special interests that are killing the American dream, and fight back the special interests that have put them through school shootings, that have put them through the climate crisis, the student debt crisis, and so much more. And we need a stronger Democratic Party that fights and doesn't have an approval rating of 27% to do that.
We have a graphic about the generational cohorts and party identification from Pew. The majority of young folks, 18 to 24, still lean Democrat, but you'll see the breakdown. I mean, the numbers here are I mean, if I'm a leader of a Democratic Party, which I'm not, but you are one of the leaders, I mean, these numbers will be concerning. What do you say? I guess I'm kind of struggling because I think I agree. People need to fight. Some of these mealy-mouthed Democrats with a noodly spine, if you are, the difference here is, and I would argue it's not just Democrats versus Republicans, the line that's being drawn in the sand out there is people who are willing to fight, people who want to stand up to a lawlessness, and folks who are who just want to roll over. And a lot of those Democrats are rolling over now. So I agree with you. There needs to be some fire put under them. But do you get to have it both ways, I guess? You can't, I don't know if you can also have one foot in the outside and one foot in the inside and say that you're being as effective as possible.
Ultimately, I think right now we need a diversity of approaches of how we address this crisis in our party that all of us agree is a crisis that we're in right now to help fight back against Donald Trump. And let me be clear, like I said earlier, there are older people who are meeting this moment and there are younger people who are not meeting this moment, and vice versa. If you are an effective leader and you're listening to this right now and you're a member of Congress, you have nothing to be worried about. And if this brings you anxiety, you should ask yourself why that is, because there are young people out there ready to meet this moment, and our party must do a better job to show our young people that we're here to win them back. And look, I know that what I'm doing here isn't going to make everybody happy, but I'm not here to make everybody happy. I'm here to win. And sometimes there's going to be people that disagree with that, and I accept that. That is part of being a Democrat. We have our disagreements, but I want to work together to build the best Democratic Party we can, and that includes defeating Republicans in our frontline districts.
I will just have to know,